What's going on, everybody? It's Anson here, and I'm back with an update on installing macOS Sonoma on unsupported Macs. I'm going to show you how to update your system as Apple software updates come out, and I'm also going to answer some questions and provide some clarity based on the comments on my initial video. So first of all, on my 2013 MacBook Pro, Sonoma has been running great. I haven't used it as my primary computer, but I have been doing some audio and video production with it. In fact, the audio that you're listening to right now is being recorded on this computer via ScreenFlow, so no issues there. One of my viewers, Kurawong, brought up a good point. After you finish installing Sonoma on an unsupported Mac, you want to go into the OpenCore Legacy Patcher and make sure that you run any post-install updates. This will make sure that all of your drivers are up to date. So for those of you that are having issues after installing Sonoma with your displays flickering, things running slowly, this should help you out. I actually did it in my original video, but it was really fast and I didn't speak to it very well. So thank you for bringing this to my attention, Kurawong. Steve Corcoran also brought up a good point. When you're creating your initial installer to install Sonoma on an unsupported Mac, you want to make sure that you're creating that installer on the computer that you're going to install Sonoma on. You can actually create it on a different computer, a more modern computer, but for it to work, you have to modify some settings in OpenCore Legacy Patcher, so it's just easier to create it on the computer that you're going to use it on. That is an absolutely great tip. Thanks, Steve, for bringing that up as well. Now, according to the OpenCore Legacy Patcher documentation and some other users, for doing incremental updates on your unsupported Mac, you can just go into your system settings, and then you can go to the general section, and then click on Software Update and run your updates. Make sure that you run any of the post-install patches like I talked about after you do that update. But sometimes an update fails or just isn't available. In fact, when I went to update this computer, I didn't have the option available. So I had to figure out another way to do that. And then during the update, it actually failed midway through. So stay tuned to see what I did and how I fixed the problem. But I will say it can be quite brutal. The total time that it took me to run this update was 43 minutes. And that is when everything goes well. Yeah, I know, insane, right? Here's the time breakdown for updating my 2013 MacBook Pro. Downloading, validating, and extracting the installer took 7 minutes. Putting the installer on a flash drive took 11 minutes, and then actually installing Sonoma took about 25 minutes. But regardless, I told you I'd show you how to do it, so here we go. First of all, make sure that you're installing any OpenCore Patcher updates that pop up while you're using your computer or when you open up the OpenCore Legacy Patcher from the Applications folder. And then follow the prompts to start root patching. This makes sure that you have the latest version of OpenCore Legacy Patcher installed. Install it to the EFI disk, then with OpenCore Legacy Patcher open, click Create macOS Installer. Choose the latest version of Sonoma or whatever OS you want to update to, and then click Download. It will download, validate, and extract, which took a total time of 7 minutes for me. Then it asks if you want to finish creating an installer. Go ahead and plug a 16 gigabyte or larger USB drive into your computer. Keep in mind that this process will erase everything currently on the USB drive. I just used the same USB that I used for the initial Sonoma install. With the USB drive plugged in, click Yes, select the installer you just downloaded, and then select the USB drive from the list. Confirm that everything will be erased on the USB drive, enter your password, and then let it do its thing. This step took about 11 minutes for me. When it finishes, it will ask if you want to install OpenCore to the disk. Click Yes and then Install to Disk. Choose the flash drive from the list and be careful here. Make sure you're choosing the flash drive and not a Time Machine backup or something like that. Choose the EFI volume, enter your password, and then reboot to apply the changes. On the reboot, hold down the Option key so that you get a list of bootable drives to appear when your computer comes up. Use the arrow keys to select the EFI boot option and hit Enter. Then select Install macOS Sonoma. In the window that pops up, again select Install macOS Sonoma. Hit Continue, Agree, and then select the computer hard drive that you want to update Sonoma on and hit Continue. This part of the install took about 25 minutes for me, but I had to do some troubleshooting to work it all out. So after this initial install, my computer restarted about 3 times, and on the 3rd time, it actually got stuck. So I decided to reboot to safe mode. So I pressed and I held the power button until my computer shut down, and then I held the Option key to bring it back up. I selected the EFI boot drive And then, while holding the Shift key to boot into safe mode, I selected my Macintosh hard drive. It went through an odd loading screen, rebooted, and came right up. So once you get here, select the required settings and log in. Then check to make sure that you're running the Sonoma version or whatever OS version that you were trying to install. You should get a pop-up that asks if you want to install OpenCore to the disk, and you absolutely do. This will make it so that you can boot your computer without having to use the flash drive every single time. So click OK on the pop-up, and then on the next screen, click Install to Disk, and then select your actual Macintosh HD, not the flash drive, and then choose the EFI volume. Enter your password and reboot. Eject your flash drive and you should be good to go. Remember to check for any post-install updates like I talked about at the beginning of the video. I will note it took a couple of reboots in order for my computer to restart without me manually having to select the startup drive. So just be aware of that and maybe restart your computer a few times after you finish this process to make sure that everything is all set and ready to go. So there you have it. That's how you can update an unsupported macOS install, even when you're not seeing updates available by going to the Apple menu and then software updates, and when you're receiving the stuck loading bar when trying to install updates. In fact, one viewer, Night157, asked, wouldn't it be simpler just to put Linux on it? Then you wouldn't have to go through those big updates every time a point release came out. And you know, Night157, after going through this entire update process, I am seriously thinking about doing that at some point in the future, especially since I've always wanted a good Linux setup. So everybody, let me know in the comments section what your thoughts are regarding that. If you happen to get completely locked out of your Mac while doing this update, you might want to take a look at this video right here where I go over every single macOS hard disk troubleshooting technique. If you found the video that you're watching right now helpful, I would really appreciate a thumbs up here on YouTube. And if you want to see more Mac tutorials or wild and crazy tech adventures, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm Anson Alexander, and I will see you in the next one.